Welcome to the PaynePoints Podcast. We enjoy telling the stories of everyday people, whether that be small business owners, entrepreneurs, or people with a passion for their community. We want to highlight them and give them a platform to share their story. So grab your favorite beverage and join us on today's episode where we tell the story of someone just like you. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. I'm your host, Sarah Harbuck, and in the hot seat with me today is our producer, Megan Harbuck.
Hello.
Our special guest is Ashley Griffin of the Kpop Social Night. Hello, Ashley.
Hello. Hey, y'all.
How's it going for you this morning?
It has been a busy morning already, but I'm happy to be here.
Oh, yeah.
We're happy to have you. Thank you.
Awesome. So why don't you start us off by telling us a little bit about yourself, like who you are and where you live and where you grew up and kind of how you got into K-pop. And that'll be a nice little bio to get us going.
Sure thing. Well, hey, y'all. I'm Ashley Griffin, better known as Multifaceted ACG. I began this journey under that big name as a YouTube content creator, but at this point in life, I am an online content creator, a business owner, and a philanthropist. I got into K-pop literally October 1st, 2012. Yes, I do know the exact date because I just moved from Los Angeles to Houston, Texas at that time and tumbled into it. Since then, I have been able to establish a business that is now closed, but I had a 5-year-old business called Multifaceted ACG Productions. It was a limited liability company where we did event hosting, consultancy within the K-pop community, and talent development. So it was very, very exciting. Allowed a lot of opportunities.
Multifaceted is right.
Indeed,
oh my goodness.
Indeed. So yeah, it allowed a lot of opportunities, and it birthed K-pop Skate Night originally, and turned the skate into social. So we've become Kpop Social Night, and that has allowed us to host some really awesome events thereafter. So yeah, that's my spiel.
Good deal. So you moved from Los Angeles to Houston. That could be a bit of a culture shock. What made you float over to Texas?
Well, I was originally born here, but I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Detroit, and I did some living in Ohio and Minnesota. And when I was married, I lived in Los Angeles. My ex-husband works in the American music industry, so this was very, very adjacent, if you will, for me.
Yes.
And when we split, I came down here thinking I'd be here for 3 months, and I've been here for years now. I did live overseas for a moment. I have lived in Korea. I lived and worked there, as well as Germany for a month. But most certainly, this has been beyond.
I think you were probably one of our first guests who's lived in so many different places.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
for real.
Yeah, I love traveling.
Out of all I know this has absolutely nothing to do with K-pop, but I'm curious, out of all the places you've lived, what are like maybe 2 or 3 of your most favorite that you really, really just, maybe you'll go back there someday?
Absolutely. I love Chicago. It's my favorite U.S. city. I like Los Angeles County. I don't like Los Angeles, the city. And I desperately, deeply miss South Korea. I am in the midst now of deciding if I'm going to move back there permanently or not next year. So yeah.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Cool.
We look forward to hearing more about that.
Absolutely.
Come visit if you could live over there.
Absolutely. Come on.
I love it.
Awesome.
So you said that you got into K-pop on October 1st of 2012. As Shannon and Angelica of the Ask Me About K-pop podcast would say, what is your origin story? What was the thing that really brought you into this world?
My origin story has everything to do with Lee Min-ho and T.O.P. So Lee Min-ho, I was looking for something to watch online just in general because your marriage is crumbling, you're sad, so you're just like, I just want to find something. So I found this K-drama called Faith. Now I'm familiar with Japanese and things of that sort. I had never heard the Korean language despite living in Koreatown in Los Angeles, eating the food, the whole 9 yards. So I'm listening to this drama and I'm like, man, this guy is so hot. I don't know what he's saying. This is great. And I'm listening and I find another another thing that he's in, and I realized that he can sing and act. So I start looking for other people who can do the same. All the while, at this time, this is 2012, so Big Bang's Alive was the apex of, K-pop fandemonium.
Yeah.
And I'm on YouTube and I keep seeing the thumbnail for Fantastic Baby, but I'm like, I'm not looking at that. This dude got My Little Pony hair. I'm not fooling with that. Lo and behold, I watch Iris. T.O.P. is in it. I see the video Bad Boy, and immediately, the moment that man literally walked down the stairs in that video and said, I can't change, I was trapped. I've been stuck in it ever since. So he is my ultimate bias. Yes.
Well, you've chosen a good one. I can't agree with you more on that.
I like how you started with this one thing, like a Korean drama, and it just led down this rabbit hole of looking up different things, and then you came into that world. So I kind of can get a little obsessive that way as well. Like I start my interest in something, and then I'm like, I'm just going to look up everything about it, and then boom, there you go. And then you're just a crazy psycho fan.
Absolutely.
So there you go.
And I went and chronicled it. I chronicled on YouTube the whole spiraling into it. When I moved to Houston, I was just going to be a general vlogger. And after that, I created a series of videos, and you can see me deteriorating with each video, like sleep deprivation and everything, because I was so invested. But I had no idea how much of an impact it would have on my life, how much it would change the trajectory of my career, my travels, my language comprehension. It really infiltrated every aspect of my existence.
Do you still have that YouTube channel? Is that still accessible?
Yes, I recently retired from YouTube. However, youtube.com/multifaceted ACG is still around. I did MV reactions. There's travel videos on there from when I was in Korea, times of when I've been a panelist at KCON and led different moderated topics there. So yeah, the channel is still around.
So if anybody wants to check out the descent into fandom, there you go. When you were a kid and you were thinking, when I grow up, I'm gonna do this. What did you want to be when you were a kid, and are you anywhere close to that in reality?
When Ashley was young, she wanted to be a pediatrician. Then she realized she would be in school forever and was like, and I ended up being in school that same amount of time regardless. When I was in middle school and high school, I had resolved that performing art, my desire, wanted to be own a dance school. So teaching was my aspiration. And I went into Bowling Green State University in Ohio on a full scholarship. And it was for me to be able to study dance and be able to learn business. And got in an accident that took dance away from me. So it took a while to realign. YouTube allowed me to still have a performing arts aspect. I've always had an interest in entrepreneurship, and I've always been actively in pursuit of that. I've owned multiple companies over my lifetime. But now as an adult, I am an ESL instructor. So I do teach other adult English language learners as well as other vocational trades. So it's not a direct alignment, but I am still helping people in the way that I desired to when I was young.
Yeah, no, that's great. I mean, you're like a jack of all trades almost.
And I'm just learning to master some instead of master of none.
Yeah, I feel bad.
It's multifaceted, seriously, is the perfect word for you.
Yeah.
What were you doing before you started Multifaceted ACG and got into the world of K-pop? What was your career before then?
I was in the spa and hospitality industry and the managerial side. I started as a massage therapist after I couldn't dance anymore. To find something that still allowed me to access the body, use my body in the ways that I thought. But I did massage therapy and advanced through management and whatnot. So I was managing a spa in Pasadena, California, as well as working at one of the big ones in Hollywood. And eventually moved on to the instructional side of things with a massive global skincare company. It was really awesome and very different from what I'm doing now.
Yeah. That's really cool, though.
I mean, I'm one of those people who had a career for a very long time in one particular industry, and then, midlife, I just decided to up and totally go in a different direction.
Absolutely.
So I completely feel you on that one.
Yeah, absolutely.
With all these types of skills and jobs and different things you've been a part of over your life, what kind of habits do you set for yourself that kind of sets you up for, daily success or positivity to kind of, sometimes we wake up and we're just like, oh, today feels like it's going to be a bad day. Well, what do you do to combat things like that, to kind of get yourself into a good mindset?
One of the things I do consistently, I do read the Bible. I do identify myself as a Christian, albeit more spiritual than the religious standpoint. So I do read that to help me place my mind in a good space. Beyond that, music is so very important to me. Being someone who did theater and whatnot, you can't detach from that no matter how hard you try. So I do try to integrate some aspect of music every day. And then just the general notion that it can't always suck. It just cannot. There's balance in everything. There's night, there's day, there's hot, there's cold. So in those low moments, there has to be a high somewhere. So I try to find an aspect of acknowledging that. There's no sense of dredging myself down with the woe is me's. Yeah, they're going to happen. I'm a functional depressive. Like, I do suffer from depression. However, this is not something that has to rob me of my peace and my joy. Yeah. So also therapy helps. I do therapy every week. And I'm at a point now in life where I can do therapy twice a month. So that's a breakthrough for me. So yeah, I just try to keep those small benchmarkers to remind myself that everything doesn't have to be all consuming. It's not that black and white.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. That's awesome. Who or what inspires you?
Oh man. What inspires me is freedom. Freedom, just the freedom to be who and or whatever you are, the freedom to learn, to grow, to challenge yourself. I'm really motivated by that. I think it's so beautiful. I'm motivated by humanity, although we can be a little reckless sometimes. Just the fact that we're all these little nuggets on this planet just existing at the same time and experiencing sometimes very similar, sometimes very different experiences. That's mind-blowing to me. On a professional side, I've got a lot of inspirations. Jane Werwin, the founder of Dermalogica, her and her husband founded it in their kitchen. And years later, I ended up working with this woman, which is...
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah, they founded it in their kitchen, just trying her best to pivot from being just a skincare person to one of the most dominant skincare lines in the profession. Rihanna is inspiring to me. This woman went from singing, depending how you want to have your opinion about it, to completely transitioning into being an aggressive businesswoman who adheres to her values and her ethics of what should be representation for all and maintains that. I am very interested in Lee Soo-min, even though SM Entertainment gives me a headache from time to time in South Korea. The fact that this man literally changed an entire industry by his inspirations of what was going on with Motown Records here in the United States and entertainment as a whole. He continues to set the bar. So there's a lot of professionals and all over the world who I'm genuinely inspired by, predominantly women and those who identify as female. But it's nice to just look at life and find motivation through that too.
I love that answer. So many good ones. I don't know what to do with
that. Tons of incredible people. I mean, honestly, I'm not just saying this to toot your horn or anything, but you very much are an inspiration to me here at PaynePoints and our creative team. So,
thank you.
Yeah, of course. I want to ask, I mean, obviously you're into K-pop, but are there any other hobbies that you have outside of running your business and these events? What do you do in your free time?
Do you have free time?
I do produce music. I don't, which is sad. But I produce music under the moniker Miss Blink. My nickname is Blink, and I produce music under that. So on occasion, you'll hear some of my instrumentals or background music in other people's YouTube channels or on their albums, which is really, really cool. And that's a self-taught thing. I always wanted to be a DJ. I had no idea about this whole festival, traveling, big deal DJ thing. I just wanted to spin at parties. But producing allows me to do that. I have become really obsessed, thanks to the pandemic, with watching survival videos on YouTube in Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft a day of my life, but they stay in the game for 100 days. And it's just so interesting watching them do their little thing. I do love video games. I am not an avid gamer. However, here in Houston, we have this awesome place called Cidercade that has all of the old school console games. So I do like to go there and play. And I love doing karaoke. Those are like ultimately my hobbies. I don't even count traveling as a hobby. It's so much of a part of my life that it doesn't come off as a hobby to me. It's essential for my existence to be able to travel domestically and internationally.
I love that.
Video games are kind of how I sort of decompress as well. Some people look at me and you're like, you're too old to be playing video games. And I'm just like, sometimes you need that escapism into something that is absolutely not real. And
completely.
And you just kind of relax in the game doing your thing. And I tend to like the sim games where, it's real chill and not a lot of crazy things are happening. It's not a blood pressure. Your blood pressure stays fine.
All the horror games and whatnot. I'm a passive gamer. I play homescapes and gardenscapes, and I've been playing it for 3 years. I love it. And I do keep up with anime and manga. I love that just as much as well.
Yeah.
We are best friends, Ashley.
Yeah. So we're gonna go
Absolutely.
into a part of the podcast where we ask these rapid fire questions, and you just give us an answer right off the top of your head, and I'm gonna let Megan take it away.
All right, Ashley, what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Sounds good.
So you did not eat breakfast this morning?
Missed that.
Okay, great. Yeah, we have kind of an unstable connection.
I didn't even
over
hear
here.
it.
Okay,
Hold
great.
on, I think I'm having connection issues. Hold on.
We're having connection
Right,
issues
let's give it a
here.
try again.
Okay. All right, Ashley, what did you have for breakfast?
Nope.
Water.
Great, same here. How do you take your coffee?
4 creams, 2 sugars.
Very specific. I love it. What is your favorite song right now?
Oh, a song that I made called Scat.
Okay. Wait, hold on. Before we move on, where can people listen to that song if it's already out?
Absolutely. You can find Miss Blink on all streaming platforms, or if you like YouTube music, then you can find Miss Blink on there. All one word put together, MSBLINK.
That's cool.
I will be checking that out as soon as we are done recording. All right. So
Sure.
are you currently watching a TV show? And if so, which show?
One more time. That broke up.
No problem. It seems like we're both having problems. What is up with the weather and internet in Texas these days?
I don't know.
We just roll with the punches.
It's a horrible place.
Are you currently watching a TV show? And if so, which show?
I just finished watching Vincenzo, the Korean drama, and it was awesome.
What is your favorite book?
Oh, Their Eyes Were Watching God by Zora Neale Hurston.
Awesome. What is that about? Because that sounds really interesting.
This woman is at the end of her life, and she's recapping these amazing experiences she had through her multiple marriages.
Okay, I love that. I have to read that immediately. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream?
Oh, coffee or cookies and cream, or together.
I hear you. Coke or Pepsi?
Water.
Okay. Sweet or salty?
Sweet.
Okay. The beach or the mountains?
The beach.
Mm-hmm. Zodiac sign?
Taurus. Proud one.
Oh, so your birthday must be coming up soon then. Or you already had it.
It was May 1st. Yes.
Oh,
nice.
Happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Spring, summer, fall, or winter?
Oh, definitely fall.
I hear you there. Introvert or extrovert?
Omnivert. Both.
I hear you. What is your favorite color?
Red.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
If you add enough toppings, yes.
All right. That is a good answer and one we haven't gotten before. What is your favorite social media platform?
Twitter.
I see you on there a lot. So
Yeah.
if you guys want to keep up with Ashley, definitely follow her on Twitter at multifacetedacg.
That's awesome. Well, that was fun. I love doing that section of the podcast because you get to kind of know the person's personality by some of the things that they choose, and it's just fun to see did they have the same answer as me? So yeah, let's go into Kpop Social Night.
Yes.
And why don't you tell us a little bit about what inspired that and how it's evolved and what it kind of entails in this present moment?
Absolutely. KPSN began as Kpop Skate Night in 2014, where it was an old school family friendly event at local roller rinks here in Texas. And we would spin for 2 hours Korean music. You were allowed to dance in the middle of the skating rink if you weren't a skater, along with the videos that used to stream right on the screens or the walls that were there. Eventually, that had to end. However, we kept KPSN as an online event platform where we could do watch parties, host panels, and things of that sort. Last year, when we were coming to the realization that MacG Productions would need to close, we had one last hurrah, and we were hoping that it would be something that was impactful that we could continue. So KPSN designed KPSN Podcast Fest. Now, there is KCON. KCON has a lot to do with the platform that I have. I was allowed to be a panelist there after 1 year of being in this thing, and really allowed a lot of interaction and a lot of learning on the back end for conferences. So we created a 1-day conference last year, and it was from the start of the day to the end, full 12 hours of being able to listen to other podcasts, listen to interviews of the hosts, and just interact and engage in those ways and play games, watch webtoons together and whatnot. It was absolutely a positive environment the entire time, despite technological glitches and everything that occurred. It was so nice to be amongst almost 70 fans from all over the world who were just there to have a good time. So this year, after we got a lot of private emails and DMs from a lot of people, they were asking if it would happen again. And last year we did contribute to the National Alliance for Mental Illness, a small contribution. But this year we decided, hey, let's make this our annual thing. KCON has its and it has the idols, but this is for the fans, by the fans, by the people who do the most commentating possible, podcasts, and pulled together a 2-day event that'll be a 48-hour fundraiser. And my goal was to have 20 podcasts participate and just see what we get from that. We have 34 podcasts participating in 5 countries.
Wow.
We have some independent artists from Los Angeles and South Korea are performing and sharing their thoughts about mental health awareness in their culture and in their community. We've got a lot of games. We've got an actual party that's happening one night, and a midday DJ Peter Lowe is going to give us some of his spins for 4 hours each day. And it's grown into something that's really for us, by us, and I'm so proud of it. It's such an amazing legacy for the team I worked with for 5 years, who I miss dearly working with them. But this is awesome. This is our contribution to the Hallyu community, and this is something that I hope continues for years to come.
I've really enjoyed talking to and hearing from people who've had businesses and they've navigated the pandemic and all the restrictions and things for social events. That was just nil last year.
Absolutely.
Everything got canceled, or got postponed for future years. And so to see that you guys took something that was an in-person event that you would think, okay, how do you even make this an online thing? Because skate night tends to be a physical thing you do in person. And that you guys really pivoted and said, okay, what can we do to continue it? But we'll have to obviously change it. And I think that's fantastic. Podcasting is such a connective way these days for just anybody to be able to have a platform and to talk. And especially if you're a big fan in this particular world, I imagine this is a very popular way to get to share with the other people in the community, but also to be like, well, this is what I think about this. And everybody gets to kind of contribute their opinion and have this melting pot of ideas. So I think that's great that you guys really took something that, the pandemic sort of shut down because of the physical aspect of it. And, you can't really social distance in a skate rink. And then, expanded it into something like this. Now that things are hopefully kind of we're turning the tide in that direction. People are getting vaccinated. The cases aren't rising anymore. Maybe we've kind of capped how bad it is. Are there plans to go back to more in-person events, or is Kpop Social Night going to be an online thing going forward just because, that's so accessible to everybody?
We prefer the accessibility, so it will continue to be online. Watch parties, live streams, coming together and just conversing where it doesn't have the influence, if you will, of social media involved. Mm-hmm. We want it to feel like it's a club, but it's a social experience for a brief moment in time. And keeping it online keeps the expenses low. Right now, we're doing pre-sale for the tickets for the event. It's just $5 at this point because last year the tickets were $5, but we have a greater overhead to bring more this time. So the tickets are a little bit more expensive. They're between $10 to $35 based on your donation. Mm-hmm. Knowing that there's still people who can't handle the $5 fee, I don't want to ever create something that continues to alienate. The majority of us gravitate towards these niche exciting hobbies because we feel alienated in other spaces. Mm-hmm. And to have something where even the $5 mark is still a little bit too rich for some people's blood, that breaks my heart. But there's ways to work around that far more easily online by having free giveaways and things of that sort where people have the opportunity to win it or whatever the case may be, where you can't do that, where you have to pay for a structure and an actual physical facility.
The one great thing about an online event is that it can bring people from all over the country or all over the world because you're not limited to a physical location, some definitive place. So, definitely that inclusivity is there when you have an online event and more people can be a part of it who are limited. If you're saying people who can't afford a $5 ticket certainly couldn't afford the travel that would be necessary to come to Houston to a physical location. So I think that's great. It's a really good way for all these fans to come together in a place and share that when it's been a year and a half of not having the opportunity to be in a group. Absolutely. And have that, concert experience or what have you. So that's great. I think that's awesome. What are some challenges, though, that come up when you have an online event? You kind of mentioned some technical issues. Kind of give us a list of some of the things that are obstacles and hurdles you guys have to jump over in order to make this event a success.
Certainly, the internet connections are always an issue. Every single place has different speeds and whatnot. And after living in Korea for 2 years, where the speed was obnoxiously fast and consistent everywhere, that's been a shocker for me coming back to that. So having that, and then making sure that you are providing the information in enough languages to reach everyone. Last year, the event was 100% in English. This year, we have the opportunity to do it in Spanish, Portuguese, and some Korean. I'm not fluent in Korean, but I do speak it. But even with that, there's still limitations. And of course, just making sure that it's accessible in all ways. You do not want someone to feel like, oh my gosh, this is all a female event, or this is all a male event, or I need to have gone to university in order to understand the conversations that are going on and whatnot. There's so many aspects to the Hallyu culture and culture as a whole, where you really want to try to take in as much consideration as possible for any and everything. You're not going to be able to accommodate all needs, but you do not want to present yourself as alienating certain needs. Sure. We desperately need subtitling and things of that sort. Last year when we did the event, Zoom didn't have that as a feature. We desperately need the opportunity for people to move from one presentation to another so that they can learn and experience as much as possible. Last year, Zoom didn't provide that. There were limitations. So we had to increase the cost so that we could accommodate buying a particular platform one time that we can continue to use for years to come. We can do agreements with other organizations to be able to use it for their own advantage. So there was long-term investment that had to be considered, and the technology has to be able to evolve with that. So those are some of the real big things that were going on, most certainly.
I feel like that's kind of the way a lot of these kinds of things are going anyway, is we're in a new world now.
Absolutely.
There's a new
Absolutely.
atmosphere happening, and there's not going to be probably as many in-person things. And so online is the way to go for stuff like that. And the fact that you guys have pivoted and moved around and navigated this in such a way that you've looked for ways to overcome some of these things you were just talking about. And that's really great. And if anybody needs any help in that direction, maybe send Ashley an email, and she can fill you in. In this journey that you've had with K-pop and having the K-pop Social Night, what is a fun memory that you have that you look at or that comes to mind whenever you're having one of those days where it just seems like, ugh, but you recall this memory to go, this is why I do what I do. This is why this is worth all the hassle and the struggle and the complex figuring out this and that with all the things that you have going on.
One immediately comes to mind, and it was my debut at KCON 2014. I remember attending in 2013. I jeopardized paying my rent to go to this event because I had to do something that was exclusively for me. And I remember getting on social media that the night after the concert, getting on Twitter, and I'm like, man, this was so awesome. I'm new to YouTube and everything. I hope in 2 years I can do this. And I did it a year later. And the panel I had was the last panel of the day. It was at the same time as the LGBTQ plus panel, which I knew people were going to because Nicola Foti, Gunnarolla, Miles J, a lot of prominent names were in that. And I was doing one that was talking about the anatomy, if you will, of MV reactions. No one knew who I was. I was a brand ambassador for a company, and they helped me weasel my way into it. And they really did. Shout out to Reactor TV, wherever they may be now. But that moment of getting on the stage, as nervous as I was, and like I dominated it. I owned it. It went from having a handful of people in there to, by the time the panel was over, all of CJE&M's media was in there. JRE from JRE KML was in there, and we were flooding out of the tent. And I just remember, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it now, just the gratitude that I felt that this major company that creates something that has such a profound impact on my life gave me a chance. And they gave me a chance year after year after year of that. I became the favorite MC of all the MCs there because you can throw me into any dynamic within this genre and I can handle it. And just that one moment, and it's on video, of just seeing that emotion of I'm excited, I'm proud, I'm overwhelmed, I'm freaked out all over my face while I was telling my fan base, thank you for supporting me. It still touches my heart to this day. It still gets me choked up. Aww. That big moment has allowed me to experience some of the most amazing fans in the world. I know every content creator, every artist and whatnot thinks that their fans are the best, and you should. But my fans, Bagualas, they're some of the most amazing, smart, caring, consistent, dynamic people I've ever met. And that was the opportunity that allowed me to connect with them in ways all over this world. So that's the moment that reminds me. Every time I get burned out on this, I'm like, they did that for me. They pushed
what an impactful memory to have and to hang on to.
Yep, that's great. To me.
Awesome.
That's incredible.
All right, Meg.
I'd really like to shift gears a little bit, and I'd like to talk about why Kpop Social Night is a contributor to the National Alliance for Mental Illness. National Alliance for Mental Illness. I think about the acronym in my head and then I get stuck. So Can you explain a little bit
Yes.
why you chose that that alliance and that, group to support?
Well, the need for mental health awareness and destigmatizing mental health is a global thing. It absolutely is. We selected July as the month to do the event because it would have been falling right in between KCON had KCON not transitioned to being online. So we wanted it to be something where if you can't travel, you can do it. But for National Alliance of Mental Illness, there's no one who's not impacted whatsoever. And a lot of people have the misinterpretation or the misunderstanding that thinks mental illness means you have to be depressed or bipolar or schizophrenic. Not in the least bit. There's anxiety, there's post traumatic stress disorder. There are a lot of other compulsions and things that are within the facet that if we had more understanding and more knowledge about, we could help more people. And by picking it during National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month, everyone who came to the KPSN Podcast Fest is a minority. They're either a gender minority, they are a sexual orientation minority, or they are an ethnic or cultural minority.
Mm-hmm.
So being able to spot like that, and we did the best that we could last year, but this year it's much more integrated where there will be sections of the event on the schedule where there are mental health check-ins with actual professionals who are in social work or
Wow.
healthcare and things of that sort, because we just went through one of the most traumatic collective experiences of our lives
Yes.
being in this pandemic. It is not over. And although we survived 2020, there's residual impact of that. We aren't the same. So it's very important that we know that in loving this whole K-pop thing, we see a lot of behaviors and fandom that show things that could help mentally.
Yes,
So I wanted
absolutely.
to put those two and two together. It's okay to enjoy this, but to obsess over it and for it to consume your life, maybe you might want to look at these resources here to help you realign. So that's why it became so important to us.
I think it's great that you take, this love of a music genre and you pair it with let's put some awareness on this thing that pretty much everybody is suffering from, and that is
Yes.
mental health.
Yes.
And even people who might consider themselves to be in tip-top mental health shape, after this last year, I don't know. I think we've all, we've, like you said, we have all suffered, come through this collective experience. And I know that I've had to kind of shift my thinking and values and change the way I, kind of even reacted to situations because it was like, I have no control. What do I have control over? Myself.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. I think that's a really great pairing. I think we see a lot more celebrities talking about mental health, bringing awareness to things like that. And I think when you have an event where you're sponsoring or even donating to that cause, I mean, it can only make it everything better in the long run. So thanks for really promoting that for everybody. That's a thing that we all could benefit from. So that's great.
We at PaynePoints, we value mental health awareness very deeply as well. So when I brought the idea of PaynePoints being a sponsor for KPSN, the higher ups at the company all agreed immediately because all of us suffer from mental illness. And so it was important for us. I love K-pop and everybody at the company knows that. But for me, on a bigger scale, it was about supporting an organization that supports people with mental illness and
Yes.
wants to bring awareness to that. So yes, very deeply, thank you.
Thank you. Thank
What
you.
is this whole experience being part of in this community and being part of Kpop Social Night and just all the things that you've done? What has it taught you about yourself that's been a surprise or not so much of a surprise?
Um, a surprise that I am an influencer and not in the social media way. I I start things and it has a massive ripple effect. And that
It
was
really does.
really shocking for me because all of this came about from one of the deepest, darkest moments of my life. My marriage was ending, my mother had passed, my health was
Oh.
declining, and I ended up coming out of that with so much more. So that part shocks. The egotistical side, I'm one bad mama jamma. It just confirms it. I am truly multifaceted. Yeah.
Well, but I think it's good for people to recognize. I mean, sometimes it comes across, oh, they're real arrogant. But if you don't know your own self-worth, if you don't know that I am good at this. I can, be these things. It's a balancing act, but I definitely think it's great that hey, I'm doing good here. Like I'm really rocking it out. So that's fantastic. Do you have any advice for anybody who wants to be a podcaster or a YouTuber or a blogger or any of those things, all the things that you've done?
Absolutely. My number one go-to advice is just do it.
Just do it.
Who cares if it's perfect or not in the beginning? No one's going to listen. Someone will. There is someone out there, which is insane, but there's someone out there who specifically needs what you bring to the table, and no one can do it like you. So just get started. I started YouTube with my iPhone. I ended it with my iPhone. Yeah, I have a DSLR and all those other cool things and whatnot, but I always wanted to keep it down to earth that anybody can do this. Podcasting, I started with the voice recorder on my phone. Now I have a whole hookup on that other side of the room and whatnot. Just get started and believe that what you're doing, someone's going to care about. No one's going to know if you're not excited about it, your own self. But that's my number one. Get started with it. And then my number two is when it's no longer fun, stop.
Yeah,
that's
simply
perfect advice.
Just do it, and then when it's no longer a thing you want to do, don't do it.
Stop. Yeah, we try to rationalize so often why you need to keep doing something. Oh, well, maybe no. If you don't enjoy it right now, just stop. If I decide I want to go back to YouTube, YouTube will be there. It's owned by Google. It's going nowhere. But for now, I'm over that. So I'm done with that. So, start.
That's good advice. I think that's good. It's very simple. It's to the point. Yeah, just do it. Nike has that as their slogan for a reason.
Absolutely.
So, for those who may be listening to our podcast, who, whether or not they are listeners of the PaynePoints podcast or they're seeing this from the Kpop Social Night social media, what can we expect from Kpop Social Night?
That was going to be my next question.
We can talk about this with you, and then I would like to offer a little bit of my own experience from last year, because I was there as a guest, and this year we're panelists. Yes.
So for KPSN Podcast Fest, it's such a mouthful to say. What you can expect this year is over 24 K-drama and K-pop commentary shows. Some of them are very detailed, such as Producing K-pop, where they talk about the ins and outs of the music, or my show, An Album a Day, where we are literally going through the entire discography of modern Korean pop, artist by artist, track by track. You can also find some that are just general talk shows that you can enjoy. You'll be able to see live in person the podcasters and engage with them through chat and or voice. We also have games that are about K-pop trivia, K-drama trivia. We will be doing some overnight events, as some of our shows are in Dubai, Korea, and Australia. So there will be some online concert watching via YouTube. We'll have one night that's just dedicated to the girl group. So you might see a full concert of Shonai Shide or Girls' Generation or Twice. And on the evening, you might see all of NCT or EXO, depending upon what we can get access to. There are also panels that will be taking place, such as the ones by PaynePoint Media. Really awesome, and being able to hear the ins and outs of how podcasting is created, how you are able to secure guests and things of that sort. And the hallmark of all of this for the first time this year, because we didn't have that awareness last year, is being able to have wellness points throughout the entire conference, where you're able to access information about mental health awareness, be able to speak with professionals, and really keeping a tally on the overall donation goal that we have of a minimum of $500.
Wow.
That's incredible. A lot to offer for a $5 ticket. So I got to say, people really need to take advantage of this. Why don't you tell everybody your Indiegogo and where they can go buy pre-tickets before the price goes up?
Absolutely. So the event at this time, you are able to secure a $5 ticket at tinyurl.com/KPSN fun and the number 21. Those pre-sale tickets are for a limited time. June 1st is when the official tickets and the full agenda will be available online at the same URL.
Good deal.
So if this episode goes up, not this upcoming Monday, but the next Monday, which is, I believe, is May 24th?
I think so.
People can still get their tickets until May 31st for $5, right?
The tickets for the tiny URL, I believe Indiegogo is going to end it on the 20th, but we still will be retailing those $5 tickets in another purchasable way. Same URL, same URL. Yep.
Okay,
so they
great.
have until the 31st.
Perfect. We love to hear it. And like I said, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience. And obviously, Ashley, please contribute your experience as well. You were running the event, but I want people to know kind of what they can expect from a fan perspective. As everybody already knows, because I've said it 1,000 times and I'll say it 1,000 more, I am the #1 fan of Ask Me About K-Pop, the podcast. And so I was there. And it was a lot of fun to be a part of the podcast recording. I believe we did K-pop vocabulary words. And so we were all in the chat, talking and conversing with each other. And I still love going back and listening to that episode because they shout me out. I believe that I listened to an episode recording of Not Your Average Fangirls.
Yeah.
I had never listened to that podcast before, and I really enjoyed it. And it was really just nice. The height of the summer, we were feeling very lost and very hopeless, and it was really nice to just connect with people. And I joke about it all the time, but I feel like I really made a name for myself, Slowpoke Megan, because I was like kind of popping in and out of everywhere. So when I saw that it was happening again, I was like, okay, everybody knows my name just because I'm like a fangirl. I would like people to know my name because I want to contribute to this incredible event. And so the PaynePoints panel is actually going to be about how K-pop has inspired entrepreneurs and business owners in America and at a larger scale around the world to start their own businesses. We're very excited about doing it, and we're going to hopefully have a few guests with us.
The business of K-pop, basically. So, yeah.
I'm so excited about it.
It really fits our genre, but it also, encompasses the K-pop world. We've actually had quite a few guests on that own K-pop merch stores or music stores, and so sharing that experience with all the fans and letting them hear kind of how those things run behind the scenes and how it works for the people involved. And so we're excited to be a part of something like this. It definitely fits into a genre, a niche market, but I think our K-pop fans are very voracious and supportive, and we love them. And so we wanted to do something like this to help a cause, but also be part of a really cool event that, we can put our spin on it too. So
Absolutely. I'm so excited about your panel and just the energy that's going to bring to show others that, hey, this idea you have, give it a shot. That's what happens with business anyway. Everything starts out as an idea.
People think it's this really complicated thing you have to plan out. And most of the people we've had on our podcast said, you know what, I just did it.
Absolutely.
You have to do some planning, but just do it, like you said. So I think that'll be great. Before we wrap up, Ashley, why don't you tell everybody where people can find you online and where the Kpop Social Night, website is, and all the things that they can do to get in touch with you or the event.
Sure thing. You can find me on all your favorite social media platforms by looking up the name Multifaceted ACG. That's MultiFaceted. You can also find my podcasts, Multifaceted ACG Presents an Album a Day, and its little sister, A 3-Day Sister Show, on all your favorite podcast streaming platforms. Again, the name for that is MultiFaceted ACG. And for KPSN, we are available on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter under Kpop Social Night. And you can find out more about the event and any other upcoming activities there or at tinyurl.com/KPSN fun and the number 21.
Good deal. Thanks so much, Ashley. We'll link all those things on our social media as well, so people can easily access all the things that they need to know about the event. We thank you so much for taking time to talk to us today. You are such an interesting person, and you don't live that far away. We should meet up for coffee once we're all vaccinated and say hello.
Sure thing.
It's not often we get to do these interviews with someone so close. I say close in quotation marks because for Texas, Houston for us is not that far away. So
Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be a part of this, and I'm glad that we're connecting in this way now. So genuinely, it's so great to work with somebody else who loves K-pop just as much as I do.
Oh, thank you so much. I really enjoyed it. I'm excited to see what you all bring to the table and excited to continue supporting you too.
Awesome.
Great. Well, Ashley, thanks so much for joining us today. I hope you have a lovely rest of your Thursday, and we're going to be keeping up with you on social media, and we'll see you soon for the event.
Awesome. See you all soon.
All right. Well, you take it easy. Guys, that's it for this episode. Join us next time, and hope everybody has a great day. Do you have a story to tell? We want to hear it. If you'd like to be a guest on our podcast and share your story, contact us on our website at PaynePoints.com or any of the social media linked on our website. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on either Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. We'd appreciate a review, a like, or a comment to let us know what you think. You can find all of our podcasts linked on our website under the podcast tab. Once again, thanks for joining us, and we want to wish everybody a wonderful day.